Creative agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, March 2nd, 2023, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 418. It's good, Tim and I think he'll agree, it's good to be back. We missed you all last week. We're in a very important meeting, details of which we'll be disclosing over the next few weeks. I do have to tell you though, I'm in the habit of a day or two after the podcast watching it, just to see what we could have done better or different. And I was very disappointed in the last one, mainly because it was just as good without us as it was when we were there.
Oh,
so,
man.
Very disappointed that I felt very unneeded. So kudos to our great coaches. And actually, it might have been better because Tim and I weren't constantly interrupting. So great.
About that, Jim? Would that be you're not constantly interrupting?
I think might go both ways. But anyway, great job, Bruce and Chuck, with the call without us. And good to be back today. And the floor is yours, Bruce.
At the risk of getting fired, it goes both ways, Tim.
Thank you, Bruce.
You guys probably should not expect to see me around here anymore. I'm sure after this call, I will be relieved of my duties. I actually thought that Jim was gonna say that I kind of make fun of me for butchering the opening and the closing so bad. Jim, how was the opening and the closing? Did I get close?
Close enough to perfect. You did good.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, then you just haven't been around here for very long yet. Jim has the opening to this call dialed in, and it's really because the call turns into a podcast after the fact. So if anyone is ever just driving around going on appointments, you can go back and listen to these calls after the fact. Just download the All the Leads podcast, and Jim's got his opening rolling. He's got a good closing, and after sitting in these and working with this group for, 3 years maybe, I realized last week when I had to give the opening and the closing that I had no idea what Jim says at the beginning and the end of calls. So I want to welcome everyone in. It's good to see everybody. If you are watching us via live stream on YouTube or Facebook, I want you to know that you guys can chat your questions in. This is an open forum call. We take questions, success stories, comments without you guys chiming in. It's kind of a boring call because you get to see the four of us just yak at each other. So I want you guys to raise your hand, comment your questions in. If you are here on Zoom, and I can see your nice Zoom square up, I'd love for you guys to raise your hand if you have questions. We'd love to call on you and kind of offer some coaching advice from those of us that are with all the leads and experienced. If you have a success story, we want to hear that as well. At the end of each week, if we have people that are brave enough to raise their hand and brag about themselves a little bit, we will pick a winner of the week, and you get a discount on your next month of probate leads with all the leads. So if you've had a success story and want to share it, don't be shy. I know that there's lots of success stories. I hear them all week long. It's just sometimes you guys are a little bit shy. So please don't be shy. Chuck and I brag about our success stories because we're in the business. So we like to talk about ourselves and want you guys to talk about yourself as well. So hands up. If you don't know who we are, this is hosted by All the Leads. We provide life transition leads, probate leads, pre-probate, divorce leads, and a complete system. So we're here to kind of talk you guys through the system, deal structures, different things like that. It's good to see those of you that I see every week. Welcome, everybody. With that said, let me find out if my fellow coaches have anything to say, and then we're going to go to our first question.
Well, I think from a standpoint of our system, it's very front loaded, right? There is some ready, get set, and then go. And it's very important as you do sign up, make sure that you go through the orientation. Bruce has monthly probate foundations classes as an example. I think that was just yesterday, Bruce, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we have the training here, and we're here to be able to help you not only through the Thursday afternoon Eastern time podcasts like we're on now, but we also have the ability for you to connect one-on-one. And, generally it's me. We can dive into your business and look at what's missing, where can we tweak things, how can we get things moving so you can go do deals. It's not so much on training on specifically the probate process. This is a people business. We are helping people get from where they are to where they want to be, and we're here to help you. We've got I hear it all the time. Our customer support team is fantastic at getting your question in front of the right person to answer it. Even if you have an issue that can't wait until Thursday, call the number at the top of the website. As a subscriber, you have access to us as you may need. Now, please don't abuse that. We do have monthly strategy coaching calls. We can't talk you through each and every day of your business, but we're here to help. And there's a lot of good people that are building their business and are starting to see success right out of the gate. So join us.
And with that said, we also have the Facebook group. It's All the Leads Mastermind. It's a great place to collaborate with peers that have probably been where you are. You have people that are highly experienced in there. You have newbies in there. If you have questions and you want to hear what your peers are doing, ask questions there as well. It's a great place to learn and grow your business. So and Alyssa just posted that link in chat. So if you're not a part of that Facebook group, please go join us there. And with that said, I want to go to Dwayne. Dwayne Olson has his hand up. Dwayne, good to see you again. And I want to I want to point out Dwayne's giving heart for a quick moment. Dwayne, it's been a little while since you and I have really had one-on-one. We were talking about a be your own bank process and kind of funding your own investment deals using that method. And Dwayne sent me a book, Be Your Own Banker, and I was just really, really in awe of his generosity to send me that book after our conversation. So I just wanted to brag on Dwayne a little bit. One of the best hearts that you're ever going to see. Dwayne, what's up, man?
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate that. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay. Hopefully you also got that email I finally put together with the links to the other books on that subject.
I hope so. If I will probably need to go hunt that down because I think I might have overlooked it.
Yeah, it's all right. I sent it to two different emails, hoping to be the one would be right. And it was only within the last week, so you shouldn't have to go back too far.
Okay.
My question is related to what we do because we need computers to do it. But if it's too far off what's normally done, then I can deal with it another way. But it's time for me to buy a computer. I'm convinced I need to go to a desktop. I've been working off a laptop for many years. And I'm just curious as to some pointers of what to look for, type. I'm computer illiterate, and so I need to trust someone else to give me some pointers, if that makes sense. At least a starting point, where to go, that type of thing.
Sure, man. Oh man. That topic is near and dear to me lately. This is my new, oh man, my green screen is messing up. So I literally just got a Lenovo ThinkBook within the last week. And I really like it. Still going through the setup process. It's a good computer. It has a lot of power. So you're going to want to probably get something that's a slight downgrade from that. If you don't do a whole lot, you don't need to go kind of as powerful as that or a really powerful Mac. But if you do video editing, we teach you guys that you should be putting content together. So if you're ever editing videos and kind of filling storage up and creating content and things like that, go with something that's a little more powerful. That's pretty much all I have to say about it, because the truth is, I asked my wife to pick my computer out, and I would have had no idea. I'd have gotten something that wouldn't have lasted very long. As a matter of fact, the last laptop that I bought, Dwayne, I was loading signs into the back of my car for an open house a week after I bought it. Not this one, but a week after I bought my last one. and I left my computer sitting behind the car and I backed over it. And that computer that I ran over a week after I bought it lasted me 6 years afterward. So
I'm on a
the
Lenovo right
mouse
now.
didn't work. The mouse quit working, but
Yeah.
everything else was fine.
I'm on a Lenovo laptop I got probably 10 years ago now, and then I started getting notices that, who was it, Microsoft not supporting blah, 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 whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm being forced into it. And I know technology-wise, there's probably some enhancements or power or whatever.
Well, I want
going forward.
you, Dwayne, and really anyone else here. I'm just going to encourage you guys, put content together. If you are the type of person that's going to put content together and you're going to create a business for yourself where you're doing more than just calls and just mail, don't eliminate those things. But if you're building a business and you're doing more than that, you're marketing, you're creating education, content, and editing videos, go with something good. For those that are just uncomfortable about those things, we can help you with that stuff. So let us know if you ever have any help that you need with a few of those things, because we're here to help. That's as far as my knowledge on computer operating systems goes. So that's the extent of my knowledge. Maybe Jim can take it from there, though.
Oh, you know what? I was going to make a comment. I was going to actually say I'm probably the least qualified, but I had a 11-year-old Lenovo like yours, and I was perfectly okay with it. And my tech guy talked me into getting another one. He said, "Oh, it'll be so much quicker, so much faster." And I thought, well, how much faster can it be? It can be a lot faster. I gotta do what I will tell you. The one thing he told me: make sure you get a solid state. I don't even know what that means, but make sure the computer says solid state. And what I actually did was I went to Costco and I went to Amazon, and I annoyed the heck out of my tech guy because I kept sending him this one, and the different, and he finally said that one. I said, okay, that's what I bought. So, just maybe narrow it down 2, 3, or 4 and have somebody that really knows their stuff. Probably the youngest person in your family or your tech guy, will probably know more than either you or I, Dwayne. But I will tell you, it's remarkable, the video quality and the speed, a fraction of a second versus 3 seconds. It doesn't seem like much, but it makes a big difference when you're working. Even rebooting, when you have to reboot, it used to take 5 minutes. Now it's 30 seconds. So it's worth it. It's worth what you'll spend on it. I think I spent about $1,500 for mine, something like that. It wasn't the cheapest, wasn't the most expensive, but my tech guy gave me permission. That's how I decided. See, Bruce, I had an answer.
Good for you, Jim.
Get a Mac. Get a Mac.
Oh, Tim's going to say get it back.
Yeah. All right. Dwayne, anything else? Anything that's a little bit more up our expertise alley? Nope. All right, good. Dwayne, love to help you out a little bit more, but I think you came to the wrong group. All right. So deals. Who has, I'd love to see some hands up. Anybody have any deals in the work? How is everybody's pipeline looking? And that's what I'm going to speak to while I'm waiting on some other questions to come in. Is the pipeline. So often we hear motivational speakers and these coaches and different people talking. And one of my all-time favorite quotes that you hear people like Tony Robbins use all the time, and I think it was Jim Rohn that originally used it, I think, was the quote, "Success leaves clues." And if you guys have been around classes and me for very long, I like to use that really frequently. And I like that quote so much because so often we get wrapped up in our immediate tangible success in business. So we are looking at what money am I making next week? So you get into probate, or you get into a different type of lead niche, and you say, how fast am I going to make money? Which is a good approach. But the benefit of getting a cash reward on a transaction is the success. And so often, if you're constantly looking 30, 45, 60 days out, 6 months out, 12 months out, looking at that success, you're going to ignore all the clues that other successful people have given you. And those clues are the pathway to get to your success. So I want you guys, those of you that are constantly focused on the big goal, I want you guys to pull your vision down a little bit, quit looking at the horizon and start looking at the pathway that's laid in front of you by other people who've already been successful in this space, and recognize that those small daily actions will lead to the success that you guys are looking for. So I'm going to challenge people that want success and you're looking at what you want to accomplish in the next year to stop looking at the horizon of a year out and look at what's in front of you today based on what other people that are successful have done. And I'm going to tell you guys that one of the biggest clues that tell me whether someone is going to be successful in the future is what their pipeline looks like. A lot of times you send mail out, you pick the phone up, you build a web presence, put some content together, and you're wanting that those people that turn into a conversation to say, come out to the house and list it tomorrow, or come out to this house and make me an offer tomorrow. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. So when you are prospecting and marketing to your leads, I want you guys to be focused on how big can I make my pipeline? How many great conversations can I have that lead to another great conversation in 2 weeks, that lead to another great conversation 2 weeks later, that might turn into or have a high likelihood of turning into business in 4, 5, 6 months? That's where you're going to stay on top of things. It's easy to get discouraged sometimes when everyone that you talk to across a week all says, no, not doing anything yet. No, not yet. No, not yet. No, not yet. It can be discouraging if you're looking at the 12 months. But if you're looking at those conversations as a pipeline of people that you're going to be able to do business with, and try to fill that pipeline full of potential commissions and potential deals, you'll stay motivated, you'll stay encouraged. And the bigger that pipeline is, the more success that you're going to have in the future. You just don't have to stare at the future all the time. Stare at today. Stare at what your pipeline looks like. All right. So with that said, that's my motivation for today. I just want to encourage you guys. I want to go to AJ here really quickly. He has his hand up. AJ, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Bruce. First of all, always get a gem out of coming to these Zoom meetings. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to put them together, because there's always something to be found and something to learn. And when every week, it seems like when I come on here, we leave with a cool gem. My question is, I have 7 different types of probate letters that I send out at specific times. So I'm getting a phone call at specific times. Oftentimes the first thing that the potential customer calls and says is, hey, I think you have the wrong number. You sent a piece of mail to my house, but my house isn't in probate. So is there something that specific verbiage that you put into each letter or mailing to try to avoid that objection? Like, I like the phone call. So, I mean, it gets them to call. So it gives me an opportunity to overcome that objection and talk to them as to, why they're really calling. But it like starts that conversation off on the wrong foot. So I just wondered if you had some tips on verbiage that you might put into some of these mailings in order to let them know that, they're the executor of the house, not, it's not the house that we're mailing, it's the house that they're the executor, personal representative of.
Great question. And the appropriate answer is it has to be a variety. It has to be a variety, because for every person that gets confused and thinks that you're talking about their personal residence because that's where you mailed, there's going to be someone that you mailed a personal residence that knows exactly what you're referring to. But you need to just change it up. So for those that would be confused, they're still going to get that. They're still going to get a piece of mail or two that's not referencing the estate of the decedent. But I want them to also get some mail that references specifically the estate of the decedent. One of my favorite phrases when I lead ins to asking about real estate, either on the phone or through mail, is, hey, I don't know if there was real estate involved in the estate. If there was, were you thinking about selling it or keeping it? Okay, give me a call, let me know, that kind of thing. So so often, I mean, I've had these conversations on the phone with people and I've said, hey, were you guys thinking about holding on to the real estate, or is that something that you guys were needing to sell? And the person will go, what house are you talking about? And to me, that's a big clue that there's probably more than one house. Because if they say, what house are you talking about? The first thing I'm going is, okay, probably more than one. Occasionally they'll go, oh, I didn't know there was real estate. Where is it? So I like to lead with, hey, I don't know if there was real estate involved in the estate that's being inherited. If there was, and then ask your question about what they're doing with that. So in some of your direct mail marketing, you want to reference real estate that is involved in the estate. Don't always say probate.
I learned that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you, so not for AJ, because you've learned that, for those of you that don't know, real estate often is a beneficiary asset and does not have to go through probate. So just because there's not real estate involved in probate itself doesn't mean that there's not real estate. It could be left directly to a beneficiary without having to go through probate. So you guys be cautious that you don't ask the wrong type of question and get led to the conclusion that there's no real estate just because it's not going through probate. So
I think that's a key component, because I stay away from the terminology probate in most of my conversations, because people are thinking of, well, we need to settle the estate, and what goes along with that, regardless of what you described, Bruce. Maybe it's not covered by probate proceedings. The real assets stay outside of that, depending on which state you're in and the specific situation. So I try and talk with very plain language that most people may have in a casual conversation, so it makes it easier to relate and connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try not to go down too much of a rabbit hole here, but one of the things that I offer that I find makes the phone ring and kind of gives me an at bat is I'll offer like refundable probate appraisals. So you have to get on in our county, you have to get on the approved list of whatever probate appraisals in the county. And if you're on that list, then I can market to these folks and say, hey, we're doing a special $150 this month for appraisals that you're going to need anyways. But if you list your house with us, or if we help you with that real estate, we'll refund it on the settlement statement at closing. Is this stupid? But then you have to reference probate, right? So it's like, am I stepping on my feet here? Not. It does work. But yes, go ahead. See, what do you think?
Not stupid at all. I would tweak what you're doing a little bit. We talk in Probate Foundations about building a really powerful, unique selling proposition. All right. And a unique selling proposition is typically just a sentence or two or three long. It's really short. It can be unpacked verbally or on a postcard or letter. And it's a big, bold claim. And then you make it true with some terms and conditions. So AJ, your offer is amazing. You're almost explaining some of the detail a little bit too much in your offer. So you're telling them how you make the offer. Hey, we'll refund it if you sell a house with us. I would just change the offer and say, hey, I have a plan that can provide you a free appraisal that you're going to need anyway. To take advantage of it, call me at this number. And then once you have the conversation going, then you lay the terms out. So it's actually $150 if you end up selling the house and I'm involved, I'll credit it back to you.
Do you see any issues with not charging everyone? Like, so because sometimes I'll say, they'll say, hey, well, how do you want me to pay? And I'll say something along the lines of, well, you're going to need to sell the place. Like, I'm not dying for $150. I might not use the word dying, but I'm not hurting for $150. Let's work through the process and we'll just talk every few weeks or every week until you get the house prepared. Maybe we don't have to worry about it. But then sometimes I don't want that, the listing, or that it doesn't work out. Then I might charge those people. Would you see any issues? Like, there's not like a fair housing thing there, or what do you think?
It could potentially be perceived as fair housing and it may not be fair housing, but it could be perceived that way if you don't operate under the same rules for everyone. So you need to have some rules for everyone that you're going to do it for free. And one of your rules could be, hey, I don't have to sell the house for you or buy the house from you, but if you're going to sell it, at least agree to give me a shot to show you what I can do. If you give me a chance to show you what I can do later, then I'll do this for free and I won't charge you. Otherwise, you're going to charge the wrong person and waive the fee for another person, and they're going to find out about it. And there's a potential for fair housing there, whether you had intent or not.
Just approach it very professionally and make it, you're to the point of doing it, approach it professionally and say, I do this, for everybody and something that I have to do. And certainly I'd certainly want to extend a courtesy to you. You can talk about the end game about giving it back to them. But the other side of it is there's nothing that substitutes for, somebody having a little bit of skin in the game. And it does help to do that. If they've spent a little bit of money and it gives you the opportunity to build that relationship, you're not going to be hurt by collecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Are you an appraiser?
No.
Okay.
That's why I use the word probate appraiser.
AJ, one of our subscribers, Roger Lacey, was asking, what state are you in?
Are you an attorney, Roger? I'm just kidding. I'm in Ohio.
In Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Maybe he has something specific to your state. Go ahead.
No, that's good. I do not know Ohio super well, so I might avoid the word appraisal. Ask an attorney about that. I just because I feel like I'd avoid the word appraisal without a license doesn't mean that you can't do it, but ask an attorney, make sure that you're not putting yourself in hot water. And if you are, find another term for it.
Yeah.
Oh, and be prepared to defend what you mean by saying a probate appraisal. How's that different than, something else? Are you going to appraise everything in the estate? Is that what you're going to be doing? Or is it just pertaining to the real estate? What do you mean by that? And you may be defining it may help you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And I do use the word probate appraisal. And I know other people who are on that list that do a very similar thing that I do, but they're not licensed appraisers either. Not to say that everybody couldn't get in trouble, but that's kind of how I got the idea.
Who provided the list?
Excuse me?
Is it a court list?
Yeah.
So did you just qualify for it by asking to be
No,
on it?
I had to send in a resume. Yep.
Cool. That's a cool thing. That's a good thing. I'd market the heck out of that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, can I pick on you a little bit just for a second, Bruce?
Yeah.
Please.
All right, good.
I didn't say please, someone else did. Go ahead.
Last time I got the courage to raise my hand at the end, you said, hey, send me a social media or like reach out to me on social media if you're interested in some coaching. And I did, and you ghosted me.
Oh, no way. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. You must have had the wrong Bruce.
I might have. So is there an easy way to reach out to you? Or?
It's probably email. The reality is everyone here is going to laugh because everybody here has fallen into my black hole at one point or the other with an email. Normally a follow-up is going to be the biggest thing. I operate off two emails. The easiest is bruce.hill@alltheleads.com. And I do check my Facebook and LinkedIn pretty much pretty regularly. It could have fallen into a black hole, so I got to go look at that, AJ.
Cool. No worries. I had to call you out a little bit.
Yeah, you can call me. Now I gotta go find it.
We'll see you next week, bud. I'm sure it'll be all about.
Yeah. Oh man, Tim and Jim and Chuck, they've all fallen into my black hole too. The one doesn't open up every day, but unfortunately every now and then I get a black hole that opens up, and I bet half of the room is laughing from from a connection that they've sent me at one point or the other that I've been a little slow on or lost.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
Dwayne, I don't remember seeing Dwayne's email last week.
I have like a whole program, which obviously I learned most of it from you guys, but that I just love to run by somebody and say, hey, like you should do this differently or this differently, because my conversion is just not as high as it should be. So
Got it. Yeah, I'm gonna go find it and I'll reach out today.
thanks, guys.
Good. All right.
Make sure you come back next week.
I'll come back every week. Every time that you say come give Bruce a hard time, I'll be back.
Absolutely. That'd be every week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Love it. Thanks, AJ. So I want to answer a question for Pearl real quick before I go to Dan, Pearl, and then Chris before I go to Dan, and then I'll jump over to Dan. So I've got a couple of questions that have been chatted in, and Pearl, you mentioned that you just got your first set of leads. You're not sure where to start. What do you recommend? All right. And this is just good for so many people. This is good whether you're thinking about getting into probate, whether you've already gotten in, but you haven't taken any action yet, or in a lot of cases, and Chuck and I have conversations with these folks all the time, hey, I've had probate leads for 3 months and I hadn't done anything yet. I'm going to have to quit if I don't do anything. Don't be that person. However, if you are, let's just get it fixed. It happens to a lot of people. It's happened to me before. So your action steps are really quite simple. Your probate business is built around 3 different things. It's built around phone calls, direct mail, and online presence, because people oftentimes will not always answer the phone, and many times they will not always call you back immediately on your mail, but they are secretly checking you out. So you want to hit them with those 3 approaches. You want to go ahead and call the people on your list. Oftentimes, you're going to want to call them kind of hot and heavy in the first few weeks. So I might call 2 or 3 times in the first week, maybe a week later. And then after that, if they haven't responded, I assume that that's just who they are. They are the type of person that doesn't really answer the phone. So it's not as though I'm not going to call them anymore after a few weeks. I'm just really not going to call them more often than maybe once a month after they've kind of proven to me on 3 or 4 calls that they don't answer. And then those monthly calls, you're going to want to leave detailed messages, because that's an extension of your marketing. So go ahead and deliver your summary of what you offer in your voice messages when you call that every 4 or 5 weeks for the next few months after that. Your direct mail will get in front of people that you think are ghosting you, and you will believe that they are not active, that they are not checking you out. And one day you're going to start a conversation with someone that was a lead 6 months ago. You're going to go to the house and they're going to pull a stack of letters out. So just because someone feels like they're ghosting you, don't give up on them. They will be checking you out if you can be found. So one of my stories from several years ago, and this was not probate at all. This was from radio advertising that I was running. And I had someone call me 4 months into a radio campaign, which I know on radio, it takes 4 to 6 months to get serious traction. And I was running this campaign for 4 months, and I didn't really have many good leads at that point. And finally, a lady called me and she cussed me out. I answered the phone. She said, I just wanted to let you know that I would never use you. Well, what do you call me for? And she said, I have been calling you for 2 months and you haven't returned my call. And this is quite fitting, given that both Dwayne and AJ just mentioned that I didn't respond to them. But I said, I haven't gotten any messages or calls from you. I said, what number are you calling? And she gave me the phone number, which was not mine. And I looked it up. And lo and behold, in my market, there is another Bruce B, same middle initial, Hill, selling real estate in my market. And I found out, because I hadn't checked my web presence out, that somebody else, when they Googled me, ranked really high. And it just reinforced the idea in my head that I need a web presence. Sometimes people are getting you the wrong way. Sometimes people are Googling you and looking you up. They're stalking you from a distance, and you would never, ever know if they don't have something that they can go look at online. So if I Google your name and your area and you don't show up on page 1 of Google, you need to fix that. You need to fix that with a probate website, probably some blogs, shoot some video if you're comfortable with that, shoot some video if you're not comfortable with that too, and get some content out there so that those people that stalk you from a distance, just that have gotten a few letters from you and heard your voicemail, know how to reach you when they're ready. So those are the 3 things that you want to do. You want to start with mail and phone calls, though. And if you don't know how to do the phone call, have somebody help you with that. All right.
Where could they get such a website, Bruce?
They get a website, Tim, from All the Leads. We build you a probate credibility website. Costs $39 a month for hosting and $200, $199 to actually build it. And there's lots of people on this call that have those and absolutely love them. Joe's raising his hand, and I just know that there's a bunch of other people that are going to raise your. If you guys have a website, raise your hand, wave at us, wave at us. Okay. Get some web presence. You don't always know who's checking you out until the conversation starts, but they are checking you out. I promise. All right. So we've got a, question from Chris Walters. What can you offer a probate attorney for them to want to work with you right away? How can you wow the probate attorney? All right. I kind of chuckle. Attorneys take work. Let me tell you the attorneys that don't take so much work, the newbies. If you're willing to grow with an attorney that might not have a lot of business yet, but has potential and they're just getting into it, go after those people first. They will, if you can demonstrate how you're going to make their job and life easier. A lot of times they're a one-man or a one-woman shop without even a secretary at this point. And if you can shuttle paperwork back and forth to their clients that have a house to sell, they will love you. I got a lot of really good attorney relationships by going after the small people that might not have a lot of business to send me right away, but they're going to give me 2-3 deals a year, and it's going to be really quick. They're going to send everyone to me. I don't have to work them hard. The more established attorneys that can send you 2, 3, 4 deals a month, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to put in the time and the effort. You are going to need to raise yourself into first place in their mind, because I promise they have other agents that they know. They have other investors that they know. So you've got to work on cultivating that relationship. And it might take 6 to 8 months to get the relationship up where you want it to be. So if you want fast business, go after the new small firms, small practitioners. If you want the big business that comes from big, well-established attorneys, work on them every single month for a while, and don't give up if it takes 2 years to get their business. Once it happens, it can be big. It can be very big. All right.
So another suggestion, if you go back into our call archive, and again, you can catch this on podcast, but go to episode 392. One of our top subscribers who last week he had commented he's got 15 deals working right now. He has built relationships with 40 plus probate attorneys in his local market. And on episode 392 in our call archive at the 45-minute mark, Mr. John Cooper explains what he does to bring value to the attorneys. So that way it's a no-brainer for them to work with him.
That's Chuck, what, repeat the episode and minute mark again?
Episode 392 at the 45-minute mark.
So YouTube or podcast, guys, YouTube or podcast, go look at those. And that, if I'm not mistaken, I can remember that was gold.
Mhm. Yeah, we're running short on time. We got plenty of questions and comments, and we got to get to Dan.
All right, before Dan, but real quick, I missed Arrington's question. He asked if we could speak about the coaching program. So coaching monthly strategy call is free. If you want advanced coaching, Chuck or I periodically, I'm not going to promise anything for Chuck or promise anything for myself right this second, but periodically we do have room for advanced coaching clients where we can work with you guys on a weekly or bi-weekly basis for 45 minutes or an hour at a time. And if you want to explore that, I'd say book a strategy call on Chuck's schedule. Is that cool, Chuck? Oh, okay. So book a strategy call on Chuck's schedule through the website. And just tell him in the notes that you want to talk about advanced coaching. We'll come up with a price for you. There's no set formula for that because we take clients for coaching as we have the bandwidth. Okay.
And it's very important that the coaching is customized based on what you need and where you need to go. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long-term commitment, those types of things. If we need an extra bump, an extra push, we're here to help. And again, we're not looking to drain your bank account on an annual commitment to be able to get you over a specific hump and fill up your pipeline, what we talked about earlier on in the call.
Good.
Hey, Bruce, real quick, Alyssa wanted us to mention, this would be a good time to mention that next week we'll have a special announcement regarding a new tool to help you all be more visible to your communities and your audience. So make sure you come back next week, and we'll announce that as part of our March Madness promotions next week. Make sure you're on the call next week.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thanks, Jim. I would have missed that. Bruce's black hole. Hey, let's go to Dan. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Dan, you there?
I am working. Yep.
There you go.
Just got it. Okay. So I periodically join in with you guys. My question is really more of a like follow-up process. I have the office, basically the virtual assistant, do some follow-ups. The types of leads that we are finding are kind of all over the place. Some of them are warm leads, some of them are cold leads. My question is really on as far as, let's say you get a monthly list for the assistant. I mean, obviously, I'm not doing the 200 calls or whatever. The assistant is doing it. Where the yield is fairly low.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and maybe from the 200 calls, the county, I only have one county, which is in Northwest Indiana. It's about 60 to 70 leads. There's maybe 4 numbers, so it's about 250, 300 calls. There may be so you kind of do the first pass. After you do the first pass, you maybe get 1 or 2 hot leads and just get a couple of nurturing leads and kind of a lot of undefined type of things. Mm-hmm. What's the breakdown of following up on these different types of leads? How do you determine? Because I'm not the one making the call. How do you determine how often do you come back to the entire list again? And if so, when? It's kind of like the more of a process so that you can kind of milk the entire list over and over again until you kind of get what you can get from the lead source. Yep. Kind of talk to me about that.
So by and large, you're going to have you are going to have most of your conversations that are able to be had will frequently be established. Most of those relationships, good, bad, ugly, warm, cold, nurture, hot, wherever they are, on your first 3 calls, especially if you can do those first 3 calls within about a month or really a couple of weeks. At that point,
So yeah, let's just.
Yep.
So you're basically saying that monthly probate list, go to it 3 times in a month. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I would try 3 times within a few weeks.
3 times within a few.
Yeah, if your ISA can get through it that frequently. At that point, if they have not answered the phone, that's the type of person they are. They are one of the 85% of the population that just doesn't really answer the phone. You've got another little percentage of the population that avoids most inbound calls that they don't recognize, but still answers some. I am one of those in the middle. I ignore most unknown calls. I answer some. So there's a percentage of those. So there's a percentage of people that just answer unknown calls. If they're available, they're going to answer their phone, period. And then a percentage that answer if they're free and they've got a few minutes. And then there's people that just don't answer. So what I want with the people that don't answer is you should still call through those every 4, 5, 6 weeks for a while, because if they're getting your marketing and if they're checking you out online secretly, and if they have saved that phone number, when they're ready, the call might pop up at the right time and they answer and they say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I've been meaning to call you back." All right. That's kind of a low percentage person, but you do want to continue to touch some of those people that haven't answered the phone a little bit over time, just not very aggressively or frequently after the first 3, maybe 4 calls. Okay.
So let's say, I mean, obviously the ISA calls from one number. I'm calling from a different number.
Mhm.
It's not like they have a number dialed in. Would they answer from one phone number versus the other? I don't know.
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it depends on that individual's formula. We don't know what that individual's formula is. I've had people that have taken an ISA call and they've said, "Hey, I'm going to sell the house. It'd be okay if you gave me a call back next week." And then they duck the ISA for a little while and you call them, and because it's a number they don't recognize, they pick it up. And they turn into great leads and great deals. So it is worth changing numbers up a little bit periodically. But
I've had situations where, the ISA basically says, "Okay, they're ready for a phone call, call and, have a conversation." And I call in, they said, "We don't have a house to sell."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking, is that what's going on?
Sometimes you got to recognize occasionally someone lies.
Sure.
Occasionally they didn't get really far in the call, but they say, "Hey, you know what? I'd be open to a call." I want to treat everyone that's going through probate as a potential person, A, that I can help, and B, that might turn into a benefit to my business. Sometimes they don't have a house, but guess what? They're getting $500,000 in life insurance, and you cultivate that relationship into something. They could be a private investor for you. Other times, maybe they don't personally have a house, but there's a piece of land in another state. I mean, there's a lot of different things that these relationships could turn into. And then other times they just flat out lie. You maybe the ISA caught them at the good time and they said, "Yeah, probably going to sell the house." And then you caught them at a bad time after they'd gotten 3 or 4 more calls, and they don't put 2 and 2 together and they just lie to you. It doesn't mean that you don't cultivate them and nurture them a little bit. One of the things.
Do you keep trying? Do you keep like how long do you make the follow up? I guess it's a very open ended question. how many calls would you make if, let's say, you had a lead from the ISA, and you call back and they say, okay, well, we don't have any need for you. We don't have a house to sell. Please don't call us.
Oh
Okay.
gosh, I probably don't really call them. What I might do, and this is what I might do, is say, hey, I never know if I don't ask. I can really appreciate that. Just in case something changes in the future, why don't I just drop you some information on what I do? You could call me if something changes for you. Is that okay? And they say yes. And you collect an email, and then you need a drip campaign. And then maybe 4 months later, you call and go, hey, last time I talked to you, you said that you didn't need anything. I'm assuming that's still the case, but I wanted to check in. How's probate going?
So talking about drip campaigns, I'm somewhat familiar with those. So do you have a like Salesforce product that you use, or I mean, what do you? I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and I wanted to make it specific to probate.
Hey, Bruce, before you answer, I don't want to be rude. I've never seen so many good questions backed up. Do you want to extend the call a little bit today? And maybe do you want to take, is that okay? And do you want to take Dan?
We can't extend it today. Everybody's got some deadlines to meet, but what I was going to say is, he's asking great questions. I'd really like to suggest that maybe you schedule a quick chat with Chuck and maybe bring this back next week, and let's go through this even more. But I want to get your questions answered, Dan. I just want to make sure we get everybody a fair shot at asking questions. And if you don't mind, Chuck, would you reach out to Dan and let's get his questions answered shortly, and then maybe let's talk through some more of this next week. Is that okay? Dan, does that work for you?
Sure.
And I want to address the drip emails. So for those of you that need to do drip, because I know that there are a lot of people that want to market to your people, probably the easiest, cheapest, freest way to do that when you have a small list is through MailChimp. So a small list through MailChimp is typically free, and you can schedule out your drip campaign right inside of the system. Now, once you trip over a certain number of people in your system, they start to charge you. And then they charge you a little bit more when you hit another threshold and another threshold, and it can get expensive on a big list. So if you end up with a big list, you may want to pick up a Salesforce type of CRM. Go High Level is one that a lot of people are raving about right now. There's some really good CRMs that are out there once you get a big email list. All right. And then Dan, Chuck, and I will both, we might even just arrange a 3-way call where we can chat through some of those other questions.
You're going to need to get your phone number in through support. Just call support and leave your information, Dan, and they'll get to you.
Okay.
All right. So looking at Linda's question, she was asking about how are people using the pre-probate list. It's really a more advanced, and when I say that, I mean it's closer to the date of death is where we're getting that data. It's very much the same approach with one specific caveat. We do not know who is the executor in that particular situation, or if in fact that particular situation is going through probate. So it could be a trust situation where the pre-probate is information of somebody that had passed away, that likely had owned real estate. And that is another difference, is that list will be, each of those leads are expected to have real estate in the estate inventory. So for me, that value proposition is more of, hey, we help people settle estates easier than doing it alone. And for me, that's the same value proposition that I'm also going to have when I'm having a conversation with an executor of an estate, because we're ultimately going towards the same goal. Get the inheritance all freed up so it can be distributed to the family, take care of the debts, and make sure that the assets are distributed. Daisy was asking one of my specific favorite questions. She said, new to the probate niche, and I wanted to know if anyone has found probate leads to be better than expireds and FSBOs. So to me, my personal opinion is expireds and FSBOs can be a quick path to brain damage because there is quite a lot of competition, right? I mean, there's folks that are calling at 7:15 in the morning and they're already multiple agents in line of those calls happening on that expired day. That's especially in a market like we're facing right now. There's a lot of folks that's their go-to. That's been their bread and butter. And there's a significant amount of competition based on the dynamics in the market. Probate, your definition of better may be different than mine. So that's very important to understand. What we've been talking about so far on this call and even with Dan's comments, it can be tedious to be able to make that specific connection, but then it's also, there is a pipeline, right, where we have that initial conversation and what Bruce referred to early on in the call, that it may take some nurturing and some time for their situation to develop until they are ready to be able to make a decision on what they're doing with the real assets in the probate inventory. So to me, I'm a bit biased. It's my preferred way over what I consider brain damaging to go after expireds and FSBO.
And I'm going to say
real quick,
I like
Go ahead,
both.
Bruce.
I'm going to say I like all of them. Probate is less competition though.
exactly what I was going to say. When I used to prospect 20 years ago, there weren't hundreds of people calling the FSBOs and expireds. Today, I know people that I used to work with back then, so they can dial all day long and 3 people answer the phone. You're always, in my opinion, even in competitive markets, you're going to have far less competition, far fewer people calling than you will with FSBOs and expireds. So just from that perspective, I think it's better.
Doug has been waiting patiently and we need to get to him. He's had his hand up. Doug, unmute yourself there, buddy. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I want to be gentle about this. I've been waiting so long, I'm a little frustrated. I want to tell to the people that are asking questions, you guys don't make it more complicated than it is. What Bruce has offered in his prospecting mastery is golden. Last week, I'm on the pursuit of a $2 million listing, which I know I'm going to get because I just kept to the scripts. This week, a $2.7 million listing. 2 months ago, a portfolio of 4 different properties. One is an apartment building. The other one's the most beautiful fixer I've ever seen, and 2 beautiful pieces of land. And then 5 months ago, a property that's zoned for 160 townhomes. And all I'm doing is following exactly what you guys teach. You guys don't make it more complicated than it is. Go with it. It really works. Don't ask too many questions. Make sure when they pick up the phone, you got something to offer them. I'm having so much fun. I just can't put words to it.
That's
Great.
Be like Doug.
Well, I know why we saved you for last, Doug.
Well,
That's a
just
great way
thank
to
you.
finish the
Thank you. I'm telling you, can you imagine what that means to me? Can you imagine what that means to my business? So I just don't have words for it. I'm extremely grateful. And the prospecting mastery course where Bruce teaches about the lead-ins and to dismantle their resistance, it's genius and it really works. And when you're coming from that perspective, it disarms them and they open up and they tell you what's really going on in their life. So I think, and also another thing too is I have role play and accountability partners, and that's making all the difference. And they're all role play and accountability partners based on the Prospecting Mastery. So if anybody wants to be a part of it, I'll put my name and number on the Facebook page because it's making a huge difference. Role playing every day before you get started, where you get your mindset on what you're going to do, and you make a commitment to another person about what you're going to be accountable for, and then you do it. And I'm like I'm just barely scraping the surface of what I promise, and I'm still getting tremendous results. So thank you,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas.
Okay.
Hey, I know that we didn't get to several of the people who chatted in questions and who asked on our live side as well. And what I would ask for each of them, just to be sure that we get to it, if you would simply drop a note to support@alltheleads.com, we will definitely answer your questions and get that done as quickly as we can. And please come back next week, and we're gonna, we always tend to get to the end of this in which we had a little bit more time. This week, unfortunately, we're all kind of beat up for time, and we're already over our time. I know Jim has something, I have something, I think Chuck does as well, or Bruce does. So we're gonna pull the plug here and wait till next week for some of this, but thanks, been a great one. Jim, you want to send us off into the wilderness, buddy?
Yes, sir. I was going to echo that. You don't have to wait till next Thursday. If we didn't get to you, it certainly wasn't intentional. Probably the best participation I've ever seen on a call. We probably could have gone on another hour and kept going. So I want to thank each of you who attended today. I want to particularly thank all of you who both participated and tried to participate. And I want to challenge each of you, take one of the great ideas you heard today, go out and put it into practice. And please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.